Welcome into Chamber Amplified for the first time. We're talking about the Federal Reserve and the upcoming bot survey, or the bot survey that's currently going on, I should say. Brooke Dirtzu, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, we're happy to have you. We're happy to be a part of helping collect responses for the bot survey. And I think that's probably the best place to start is what exactly is a bot survey? Are we going out, we're talking to robots, that type of thing?
Well, it's a clever name to catch people's idea, but it really stands for the Business Outlook and Trends Survey. And I should start one step back. So I work for the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, and I work in the research department. So we use this survey and other anecdotal data on economic conditions, employment, wages, prices, that we collect from contacts across the 4th District to inform monetary policy. So one of the version that one of the collection methods we're talking about today, which is the bot survey, we talk to we work with chambers of commerce to collect this data. They are distribution partners, and the bots collects these kind of standard kind of economic indicators on business conditions, which it would be like demand for products or services, employment and wages and prices from businesses in the 4th District. Could I say one more thing?
So yeah, absolutely.
One of the great things about the bot survey is we can reach businesses that we haven't encountered before, and especially with our partners, they're amplifiers. So we're able to talk to a lot of smaller businesses than we do on our other surveys. So we're really excited to get the perspectives of the smaller companies. And I just want to, I forgot to do my disclaimer, which is anything I say today is not necessarily from the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland or representative of the Federal Reserve System, but from Brooke Dirtzu.
All right. Well, we got all of our bases covered there.
Yeah.
One of the things
now
I
we're
really
covered.
like about it, and you touched on this, is that I think a lot of times small businesses don't feel like they really have any sort of impact on what's happening at higher levels of government. This helps the Federal Reserve look at what's happening and impacting our local business community. And then when they make their recommendations, they're using information derived from this to make those recommendations to the federal government on what to do with monetary policy. So it's a very quick, very easy way to be impactful on the things that actually are impacting our local business community.
Exactly. So the survey should take less than 5 minutes for any business owner to fill out. We asked general movements in some of those standard indicators that I mentioned, and we're able to compare those against some of the things that we see in our larger panel survey. So it really tells us, are we seeing the same things across our district? And we can understand if people in different areas are experiencing the business conditions differently.
Let's talk a little bit about the kinds of questions that are included on it. Maybe the best way to do that is to look at some of the findings from the last bot survey, which happened in the spring. And that was our first time really getting in it and getting that out to members. What were some of the things that stood out to you that came as a result of the spring survey? Obviously, that's a little bit of a lagging indicator. That's why you do it twice a year. But I think it helps people kind of develop a feel for what you're looking for.
Yeah, so we ask people about, for example, their business conditions in the prior 6 months and an outlook for the next 6 months. And we asked that in April earlier this year, and the prior 6 months as of April, there were people who said, or 47% of the sample said that had seen an increase in business conditions. And then the outlook had about 53% of people saying that they expect to see an increase in business conditions. So it will be interesting now, 6 months later, to see what this next round of businesses say, if their outlook is equally as equally as optimistic. We also ask about their staffing levels, and it looked like people anticipated, the majority of the people, 54% of the people said they plan to make no changes to their staffing levels, both in the prior
Hmm.
and the next 6 months. And so that largely tells us that people expected those to be flat. So then, if we went to look at something like wages and salaries, it looks like people anticipated uh, fewer increases in the next 6 months
Hmm.
as of April 2025. So, in the prior 6 months, people had raised their wages by 52%. Of participants said that they had raised their wages or salaries, and the forward-looking question, only 39% said they intended to increase wages. So this kind of tells us a little bit about the normalization of wage pressures. So there had been a huge wage pressure after the pandemic, and this could be part of that normalization process where people aren't giving these large wage
Hmm.
increases as they had been.
Things kind of settling out in that regard, and
Yeah.
we'll see what the latest round of surveys have to say on that as well. Uh, One of the things that really stands out to me about this is one of the first things you said is it's anecdotal. You don't need to break open the books to fill out this survey. Like you said, it only takes about 5 minutes. With that, if we can locally get what is it? I think 50 local
50.
businesses to respond. Not only does that help inform the Federal Reserve on monetary policy, but we also get a very in-depth look at Hancock County or Northwest Ohio, depending on how those businesses break down as they come through on the survey. I, I would. How can a business take that information and what is in it for them? I guess once they get that info.
Well, I think that the chambers will receive the info once
Hmm.
they're over 50. So we've heard chambers say, or I suppose I should say our distribution partners say that they've used that info to do some strategic planning around perhaps programming for their businesses,
Hmm.
what they had heard or they had seen in the movement of the numbers, or maybe a deeper dive into talking to their businesses about what certain movements that could be different than other areas, because we would provide also the overall numbers so you'd be able to compare the two. So perhaps you'd see that the businesses in your county are giving more wage increases and
Hmm.
anticipate giving more than the overall picture, and then you could dig into why that is true.
That would be, I think, really interesting for Findlay and Hancock County. We tend to have, or at least we believe we tend to be in a bit of a bubble just because of where we're at. We have a large major employer with Marathon Petroleum here in town. Like for instance, when the Great Recession hit, Findlay was certainly affected, but maybe not as affected as other areas. I think this would be a really good way to statistically get into that to see if that actually rings true. So getting that many people involved in the survey would be very helpful in finding that out. Uh, it's pretty easy to do. Obviously, we'll provide the link, and I'll have that in the notes for this. Are there other ways that people can find the survey if they're interested in taking it?
Really, it's through our distribution partners. So every distribution partner has a unique link. So if there's a business that hears this that's in your area, they should connect directly with you, because that you have the unique link, and we would want their response to count to you so you could get to that 50 mark. And really, the 50 mark is about having like enough data
Mhm.
to make some to get some opinions about what's going on in your area, and to also maintain confidentiality of who's participating.
And that's
So
a good point too. Is it is a confidential survey, so you're
yeah,
not putting in there Doug's widgets said this. You're it's
right.
just it's put in there, and then that's your information is confidential from there. Are there businesses that or underrepresented upper represented? Can you tell I'm battling a head cold? We're saying words like representative. Are there industries that you would like to see more representation from in the survey?
Oh gosh, I mean, all industries are welcome. I think that it would be really great to hear from some construction contacts. We're looking for more construction contacts in our main panel. So if anybody would also like to join that panel, which is
Mhm.
called The Source, they can connect with me directly at the Cleveland Fed, but we're definitely looking for more construction contacts. But all contacts are welcome. Oh, I should mention we are also we haven't been able to create a big enough sample of ag contacts to do some breakouts that we'd like. We'd love more ag contacts, but that doesn't exclude us really wanting those hospitality contacts, restaurant contacts, manufacturers, all of these businesses, B2B businesses that are professional and business services. So, your accountants, your lawyers, your consultants, all of those businesses are welcome, and any size. So, last round, I believe we had, let me just quick look, 27% were businesses that had 1 to 4 employees. That's fantastic. We need to hear from you. If you're small, all the way up to 10,000 plus employees, but those smaller employers, they're great for a panel too. We want to hear from you. So basically all the businesses.
Yeah. Are you involved in the business? Take the survey is pretty much how we would frame it. So we will again include the link to take the survey in the show notes for this, and we'll have that posted on social media and everything like that. Brooke, I'm just curious, with you working in the sort of the data analytics sort of division for the Federal Reserve, you probably see all sorts of interesting numbers and trends and everything like that. What is it that actually drew you to this line of work? Because I think it would be really interesting. And a lot of times I'm thinking for our Hancock Youth Leadership, we're always talking about different career paths for our kids. Not that they're not necessarily big Chamber Amplified listeners, but I'm just curious how you came to be in this profession.
Well, Doug, that's a great question. So I started out in adult education, and I worked my way into workforce development and really started doing some research on talent pipelines, from K-12 to college to the workforce, or directly K-12 to the workforce, maybe with a program in between. And I would say that chambers are excellent partners in that work, in connecting what is happening in those education areas to the local businesses, and understand, because you all understand the skills that that those businesses need, and are able to kind of communicate that back to the education system. So to me, it was a motivation of understanding how businesses function in our economy, and understanding how that creates this kind of beneficial environment to live in, so that you can find the job that you want. So I would say that if any youth are interested, that they should start looking for programs to get into economics. And the Cleveland Fed offers a lot of different internship programs once you get through, or once you start your degree. So you should always keep your eye open for different different opportunities within the Federal Reserve System if you're interested in economics.
It's all very cool. I imagine you get to see all of the intricacies with the numbers. So I'm just curious on that regard.
Oh,
in the meantime, the bot survey is going on now through December 15th, correct?
Yes, it opened up this morning. Everybody received their opening day emails, and hopefully they're being distributed to businesses as we speak. Our businesses are taking our survey as we speak, and we're very excited to see the numbers. We're hoping to have a really good turnout right now. So I'm hoping that if you're a business owner and you're listening to this, that you feel motivated to take the survey.
Brooke, we appreciate you joining us. We really appreciate the partnership with the Federal Reserve. I know we had you all come in to speak at our Fresh Brew Business back in August on the findings of the last bot survey, which was real interesting, and that's something we had been able to do before. I think it really shows that you're trying to get out there and get out to the communities. It's not a lot of decisions made from up on high. It's a lot of data-driven analytics, and I think that's really, really important to our local business community. So thank you for taking part today.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.